St. Louis Cardinals baseball. The Cardinals looking for a sweep. We're at Busch Stadium, a chilly, rainy morning, now turning into a chilly, rainy afternoon. The Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals. With Jim Hayes and Brad Thompson, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to Cardinals baseball. Yadier Molina, the big hit late for the Cardinals in Game 2. Your former teammate, the numbers in his career and this year, they keep going up.
Well, Yadier Molina keeps coming up in the clutch, and we got a chance to see it again yesterday. Look at those numbers. Look what he's done. We know he's one of the best in the game behind the plate, but offensively, Yadier Molina is one of the best catchers around.
Look at his numbers, and this is this season. First in hits, first in home runs. Same can be said for the RBI, and third in slugging percentage. Seems like he never takes a day off. He's in the lineup today. He'll be catching Miles Michaelis after a brief timeout. Over at Ballpark Village, Scott Warman and Rick Horton will break down Miles Michaelis, today's starter. Burgers, better prices, Steak and Shake. By Missouri Baptist Medical Center. Doctors call it world-class medicine. You'll call it Mobap. And by Sling. Live TV you love, only better. Busch Stadium, the scene, and the Cardinals trying to pick up another sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. Yachty, the hero in Game 2. How about Game number 3? Who gets that? We're about to find out. Baseball is coming up. Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals on a Sunday afternoon here at Busch Stadium. The Cincinnati Reds are 3-17, already 9 behind the St. Louis Cardinals, trying to avoid another sweep. St. Louis on the year 12-8, and they are tied in the standings with Milwaukee in the NL Central. We take a look at the BJC Healthcare difference maker, longest active win streaks against any opponent, and the Cardinals, going back to last season, have won 10 straight against Cincinnati. Last time they did something like this was in 2012. They won 12 straight, and that was against the Houston Astros. Here comes Miles Michaelis, and here come the Cardinals. Three starts this year. The ERA, the highest among the starters, and yet he is 2-0. What do you expect out of Miles Michaelis?
Well, Miles Michaelis had a very nice outing last time. 7 innings, 1 run against the Reds. And I looked at him to build on top of that. You see, he likes to throw his fastball quite a bit, but his off speed is where he's been getting a lot of the outs. He sets them up very well. I think we'll see a lot of the curve today, a lot of the slider. And this is a lefty stacked lineup that he's going to be facing. He might need to mix in that changeup a little bit more today.
Here's a lineup that you're talking about. For Jim Riggleman, the interim manager of the Reds, Jose Peraza, followed by Jesse Winker. Then Joey Votto, Scooter Gennett, Scott Schebler. So those lefties all in a row. Devin Mesoraco, Alex Blandino. The pitcher batting 8th, and that's Luis Castillo. And the switch hitting, Billy Hamilton. It's turned to Brad's Toyota, keys to the game.
Well, first things first, finish strong. When you've got the Reds on the ropes, you've won the first 2 games. You just mentioned you've won 10 in a row against the Cincinnati Reds. There's an off day tomorrow. The Reds are struggling a bit. You can't mail this one in, though. You've got to be able to just lock down and get the win, and you got to come through in the clutch. I know the Cardinals have been winning a lot of games lately, but they've left a lot on the table. The last 2 games, 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position, 0 for 6 yesterday. They're going to have to be able to knock some of those runs in today.
There's a look at Jose Peraza. He started this year 0 for 12, but since then batting .298. He has been the everyday shortstop after Zach Cozart signed as a free agent with the Angels. And he'll lead it off for Cincinnati here today. A chilly afternoon here in St. Louis. Rain this morning. We anticipate getting this ball game in with no delay. Knock on wood. And the Cardinals trying to make it 3 in a row in this series against the Reds. The first pitch, a strike, and we are underway. David Rackley calling the balls and strikes, the home plate umpire this afternoon. And the 0-1 is hit out of play. David Rackley along with Larry Vanover, he's the crew chief, Mark Carlson and Chris Guccione. And the 0-2 pitch popped up to the right side. Martinez over along with Wong. Wong calls him off, makes the catch, and that's the first out. The Cardinals defensively around the horn is presented by Dobbs. Tyler O'Neill, first major league start in left field. Bader in center, Fowler in right. Carpenter, DeYoung, Wong, and Martinez on the infield. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate. So you have Winker, Votto, Jeanette, and Schebler, 4 straight lefties coming up. And left-handed batters are batting .316 early on against Miles Mikolas.
One of the big keys for Miles Mikolas today is going to be getting that fastball down. He's done a great job of getting ahead with it overall in his starts, but the ball is elevated a little bit, allowing him to get a chance.
1 ball, 1 strike. It's extra rest for Miles Mikolas because of the postponements. There's the splits, but also facing a team second time in a row, and that's what you're talking about earlier. You kind of switch things up that second time through.
Yeah, there are things that you go to in spots, right? There are tendencies that you have, and you just have to remember it. Not to say that you're going to go away from your strengths at all, but you just need to make sure, and this is where Yadier Molina comes in. He's got an incredible memory and just knows how you attacked hitters the last time around, even if it was a week ago. You just have to make sure you don't fall into those patterns. You just got to execute pitches.
2 balls and 2 strikes. We highlighted Molina in the open, and here we are, day game after a night game, or rather after the day game yesterday, but he did that in game 2, and with all the off days, postponements, he is in the starting lineup again this afternoon. The 2-2 just missed, and it's a full count.
So a 97-mile-an-hour fastball before that. Sneaky velocity out of Miles Mikolas, and then drops that curveball in at 80 miles an hour. That's really good.
The 3-2 pitch to Winker, fouled back. I think sneaky is the right way to describe Mikolas because his delivery is very fluid. It's easy, and then the ball just jumps out of his hand.
That quick arm, he's got good movement, good run, can throw all of his off speed for strikes.
And there it is, a swing and a miss. First strikeout, 96 on the gun. Spring training we saw him hit 98 in a few starts.
Just get this fastball in right here on Winker. Can't get his hands to it, and that's going to be big with all the lefties in this lineup. Can you execute on that side of the plate? That was perfect right there.
Here's Joey Votto, and Votto is 0 for his last 11 against the Cardinals, but he has drawn 6 walks. And a fly ball lifted out to Tyler O'Neill. He's there, makes the catch. The top of the lineup, Matt Carpenter, is coming up along with Yadi and Jose Martinez. You're watching Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. his major league debut a season ago. He does have 19 starts in his career, a record of 4-9. Matt Carpenter leads it off. A look at the lineup with Carpenter, Molina, and Martinez here in the first. Batting cleanup, Dexter Fowler. Then Paul DeYoung, Tyler O'Neill, Kolten Wong, Harrison Bader, and Miles Michaelis, who does have a home run this year. This season, 4 starts and a record of 1-2 for the Cincinnati starter. And the first pitch taken for a ball. Matt Carpenter with 15 walks this year, most on the club, 6 most in the National League. The Hyundai pitch arsenal.
Well, Luis Castillo was one of the guys you see. He likes his fastball a lot, and he loves throwing his changeup off of it.
Votto backs up. Castillo to the bag for the out.
I know it has been tough sledding so far for the Reds, and they've been looking for signs of life. Well, one of those signs is Luis Castillo. Jim Riggleman's got to feel good about giving him the ball and getting him out there. He's got the upper 90s fastball. He's got that great changeup, and he's going to be a part of this rotation for the foreseeable future for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yesterday was the 42nd time that Yadier Molina has hit a go-ahead home run. Did that in the 7th inning. Broke a 3-3 tie. He's now up to 6 home runs. And he's done that in the first 20 games. That's most ever by a catcher since Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, Johnny Bench. They had 9 in the first 20 games, but Yadi was 6. No other Cardinal has ever done that.
My career didn't follow this path. I didn't get better as I kept going. Yadi has. He's continuing to evolve as a hitter. We're seeing the power now.
The 2-0 hit out of play. For those that buy into launch angle and guys now trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, you look at the numbers. He has changed over the last year and a half or so with launch angle, elevating the ball, and probably a good thing with his speed when you think about it.
Certainly. You know, one of the most impressive parts of that, even though he's made that change, he still does all the little things well. We saw it yesterday. You saw the ground ball to the right side when you needed it.
Sticks the bat out and picks up a base hit. All right, Mr. Analyst, explain this swing.
Well, perfect example. This is a 9-iron that he pulls out. Now, perfect example of not trying to do too much right here. Yadi knows he can just get the barrel to it and do something, and ends up getting on base. It doesn't always have to be launch angle and home runs. Sometimes you just got to get the barrel to it and let good things happen.
It brings in Jose Martinez with a runner at first and 1 out. I mentioned the other day he's beginning a new tradition. Not sure how long it'll last, but taking a baseball down the right field line and throwing it into the upper deck. And he did that about 10 minutes prior to our first pitch. He was getting his arm ready and stretching, and just don't get hurt.
I was really
and
impressed.
Don't hurt somebody.
I mean, it was way up there. You don't expect to get a souvenir that high up. You got a good arm.
It's a very light rain here at the ballpark. That pitch taken low. 1 ball and 1 strike. The lights on here at Busch Stadium.
We talked about the launch angle, the change with Yadier Molina. Jose Martinez might be the biggest example of launch angle. He decided to change a little bit over the last year plus and try to drive the ball more in the air. And we've seen some incredible results out of him. Always been a great hitter, but now you're seeing the power numbers.
Martinez pulls it fair and off the glove of Blandino. Molina racing to third. Martinez to second. And it's runners at second and third and only 1 out.
Well, Jose Martinez can drive the ball anywhere. You see him stay back, pull the hands in, and just crush one down the line. Wherever the ball is pitched, his swing is that way. There are some guys that just are dead pull or go the opposite way very well. He does it all. He covers everything, and as a pitcher, that's very hard to deal with when you have a guy that can do anything.
So second and third, and now Dexter Fowler. who's batting cleanup. Fowler with a drive down the right field line. It is just foul. And he looks back in the dugout. Some of his teammates thinking that was a fair ball. Ooh, just foul. Boy, not by much.
It's about as close as you're going to get right there. Dexter Fowler just decided to be aggressive right there, jump on the first one, hoping to get a pitch up, and he did, just an inch away from a double.
The 0-1 pitch. Fowler with his 5th home run since joining the Cardinals against Cincinnati. The most home runs he's hit against any opponent. And he did it on his bobblehead day. Got to do that. Cardinals 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position in this series. Inside corner. Yesterday, just cleared the wall and right. But he now has 3. A much better hitter, at least power numbers, in St. Louis from this side of the plate. 2-2.
You know that had to feel good for Dexter Fowler yesterday. You mentioned the bobblehead day. You know magic is going to happen on a bobblehead day, but it's been a slow start for him to get a little bit of momentum, to get something like that going. I don't care if you're a young player or a veteran player, you're always looking for a jump start, and maybe he got one there.
Now the 2-2 pitch. Full count. Paul DeYoung at the on-deck circle. The Cardinals are the co-leaders in home runs in the National League with 28. They hit 3 more yesterday. Jump on him early. That's the idea. The 3-2 pitch. And the bases are loaded. Paul DeYoung had a double and his first home run at home yesterday. And it was also the first home run in a game in which he did not strike out. You can see he's starting to get a little bit more locked in. The bases loaded. Molina the single. Martinez a double. Walk to Fowler. Ball 1. Cardinals tied with Colorado. Milwaukee one back in that department. Then Washington and San Diego. Washington with 23. 9 of those have been hit by the league leader Bryce Harper. Here's a 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes.
That is the most dangerous thing about this Cardinals lineup. You look at it, 1 through 8. Guys can go yard. I mean, you have so many guys that can do damage, but can also do the little things really well. As an opposing pitcher, it would be nice to know you have a breather at some point. And I know there are a few guys in the lineup that haven't quite got it going yet. But man, that is a tough lineup 1 through 8.
It's Danny Darwin. He is now the interim pitching coach after Mac Jenkins was let go with Brian Price. Danny Darwin, over 20 years in the big leagues, over 3,000 innings. And right now his starter's in some trouble. 2 balls, no strikes. Talk about the safe zone for, and it's basically puts in the speed of Yadier Molina, the arm and range of the outfielders, and they come up with a safe zone. That's the idea for a sac fly. The 2-0 pitch. 3-0. And you know he's got the green light. 1 swing of the bat. damage is done, it could be 4-0.
Absolutely. Castillo right now just wants to throw a strike, but realizes what Paul DeJong can do as a young pitcher right here. This is a really tough spot. You know you need to pump a strike, but you can't leave one up.
The 3-0 pitch. 3-1. That's 11 balls to go with 5 strikes by Castillo to start this game, who came in with an ERA near 7.
Castillo, who has the good changeup, if he's got feel for it, he might throw it here.
DeJong, little chopper to third, out at second, the turn, and it's a double play. He gets out of the jam, and no damage done. Scoreless after 1. On the 10-day disabled list, and John Brebbia called up yet again. With more on that, let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, Waino pitched very well in his last 2 starts, and today the news he's going to the 10-day DL. We had Waino live on the pregame show, and he told me he didn't want the elbow issue to linger.
I'd rather make 30 good, healthy starts than start sort of trending downhill. And when I start feeling like it's going to come back like that, I pushed the brakes and got with the training staff and Mike, and we just decided that missing 1 or 2 starts at the most makes a ton more sense than missing 10.
Dan Waino says had he taken some time to get through his elbow issue last year, he probably would have had a relatively healthy season. He's trying not to make the same mistake.
All right, good stuff. A nice interview on the pregame show for those that missed it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Scooter Gennett. Smart?
I think it's very smart with Adam Wainwright. He had this lingering issue last year. Like you said, it bothered him. You could tell by watching him that it was bothering him. If you got an opportunity to fix it now, why pitch compromised?
And you'd have to assume the Cardinals did not talk about how the rotation would pan out after this start with Michaelis, but Jack Flaherty off to a good start at AAA. We've already seen him make 1 start this year against Milwaukee. He had 9 strikeouts in that game and a wipeout slider.
I would have to think it makes it a lot easier to make decisions like this when you have options that you feel comfortable going to, and Jack Flaherty absolutely one of those. They got plenty of them in Memphis.
The 2-2 swung on and missed. 4 up and 4 down with a pair of strikeouts from Miles Michaelis.
96 right there on the gun. Fastball by Michaelis. Mixes it up very well after you see the slow breaking balls. That 96 is getting on you quick, and once again another fastball up in the zone for him.
I'm sure you had peers when you were playing and know guys that went over to Japan or played overseas just to get a paycheck, you know, struggling at big league baseball, becoming a star or a better player, going to a lesser league. From a pitcher's perspective, what happens over in that league compared to what you see here?
Well, I know Miles Michael has talked about it a little bit in spring training. He said there's a little bit more guys that are trying to swing for contact, not as many strikeouts in that league, but it is it's a tough league. So the numbers that he put up, and he led the league in a lot of different things last year, he got to grow as a pitcher. And some guys, it probably was a tough decision for Miles Michaelis to even come back. He could have made a lot of money there, could have stayed in the league for a long time.
And that's a base hit on a hanging breaking ball by Schebler. He'll stop at first base, and the first base runner for the Reds.
But Michaelis wanted to prove that he could do it here again as well. And the Cardinals saw him. A lot of teams, by the way, coming into the season were in on Michaelis. He ends up getting a 2-year deal with the Cardinals. I got to tell you, I like what I've seen out of him so far.
Absolutely. There's Devin Mesoraco after the 1-out base hit. Rain falling here at the ballpark. Big crowd. The Yadier Molina kids jersey giveaway. It's an off day tomorrow as you get a look at Devin Mesoraco. And the Cardinals will welcome in the Mets on Tuesday night. And starting right now, the Mets have moved Matt Harvey to their bullpen.
Sounds like Matt Harvey wasn't too excited about the move to the bullpen.
He said on a scale of 1 to 10 of being upset, the clean version,
it was a 10.
It was a 10.
It was a 10.
He was not happy.
Yeah, you understand that. You've seen Harvey at his best, but currently Harvey is not at his best. And the Mets have a lot of options. Their strength right now is that rotation. Vargas is coming back. And I think that Harvey could be lights out of the pen, but he's got to be in on it too. He can't have a bad attitude about it. He's got to go out there and pitch.
It's off the end of the bat, and it rolls foul. Cardinals will face Steven Matz, Noah Syndergaard, and Jacob deGrom in that series. We saw the Mets have great pitching, and when it all comes together, that's a very good team, as they took 2 out of 3 in the opening series at Citi Field. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Mesoraco. Deep in the hole to Young, to second, the stretch by Wong. Nice play. Well, Kolten may be struggling the onset here with the bat, but he's made some very good plays defensively back-to-back days.
He's got a great glove. He's super athletic, and that was a very athletic play by DeYoung as well. Ranges into the hole, makes a nice backhand, sets his feet, and makes a strong throw. Paul DeYoung is getting more and more comfortable there at shortstop. I mean, remember, this is not his natural position. He didn't come up through high school, college, the minor leagues is just a shortstop. He's bounced around quite a bit, and he's made the transition at the big league level very, very well.
I wonder how many guys have gone from a college catcher to a major league shortstop.
Probably not too many,
if any. And that was Paul DeYoung, and I talked to Jose Oquendo the other day about that specific play. They've got him playing more up the middle, and he says he doesn't realize it, but he's a lot better at going to the hole and making that play than maybe he realizes. And that's why we have him playing more towards up the middle. The fly ball, foul territory, Fowler racing after it, and a foul ball.
Having a guy like Jose Oquendo there for Paul DeYoung, for everybody, honestly, what a weapon to have. What a tool there. They work every day. They work on different things. Jose Oquendo is relentless about making sure his guys are doing all of the right things, the footwork, the arm angle, everything. He and Oliver Marmol are going to be very helpful for this infield because they're going to get better and better. I love the duo they have up the middle.
1 ball and 1 strike on Alex Blandino. A couple of hits in game 2 of this series. And he lines a base hit into right field. Mesoraco stopping at second base, 2 runners on, and the pitcher's spot now coming up.
Well, Miles Michaelis tries to go with the curveball here and just leaves it up. Not driven, but just hard enough for Blandino to get the barrel to it and shoot it the other way.
Both base hits have been on a curveball that hangs a little bit. Normally it's a very sharp break to that curveball.
Coming into today's action, that curveball's been very effective for Miles Michaelis. Hitters batting just .56 off of that. That's pretty good.
That's hit up the middle. DeYoung is there across the diamond. Nice play ranging to his left. The red strand a pair. And Tyler O'Neill will try to get his first big league hit when we come back. Live on your mobile device. Download the Fox Sports Go app. Log in and make sure you stream the Cardinals wherever you go. It's presented by T-Mobile. Here's Tyler O'Neill, followed by Kolten Wong and Harrison Bader. Castillo made the final out in the top of the second, so just finishing up his warm-up pitches. It's Winker, Hamilton, and Schebler in the outfield. Around the horn presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Blandino, Peraza, Jeanette, and Votto on the infield. And Devin Mesoraco is behind the plate. Well, the numbers were just too good to keep him down in the minor leagues. You ride that hot bat, that hot pitcher. Tyler O'Neill already had put up 6 home runs, 18 driven in, and a .388 average.
You have to, and the Cardinals had a position in the schedule where they had a few off days built in. The bat off the bench and today's starting would be more beneficial. Got to be excited for him.
And again, looking for his first big league hit. He's had a couple of pinch hitting appearances in Chicago, and he's gone 0 for 2, and the 1-0. O'Neill chops it slowly left side, hustling down the line, and out. One rookie to another. Off the bat of O'Neill to Blandino.
Blandino just charging hard on this one, cuts in front, makes a nice athletic play. Tyler O'Neill running hard. That's something as a position player over there. Blandino obviously knows that he's going to be busting and had to be quick.
And now Kolten Wong gets it out of play. Seen a lot of ground balls to the right side by Kolten Wong, and that was the case in spring training, and it's been the case here so far. Batting 133. That one is not on the ground. Out to deep right. Will it carry? It is gone! Kolten Wong is first of the year. 1-0 St. Louis. first extra base hit of the year. It's a home run. And you know his teammates are happy for him.
That feels like a weight lifted. Coming into the day batting a .133. You mentioned all the ground balls. He got a fastball in there, turned on that, and Kolten Wong has got to feel very good. That's a difficult pitch to hit, by the way. That's letters high in, and he turns on it.
Here's Harrison Bader, a 7-game hitting streak to start a play today. Remember, all the runs yesterday were via the home run for the Cardinals. Get the home run now, and it's 1-0. A look from the bench in the dugout of the Cardinals. 2 balls and 1 strike on Bader. The thing is about Kolten Wong, he's such a likable guy. He's great with us in the media, and he's a likable teammate too. So, you know, there are certain guys, they struggle, and teammates go, well, you know, it is what it is. And there's other guys that you say, boy, I'm pulling for him, and they get a home run.
Well, you also know how hard a guy like Kolten Wong works. And he wants to keep getting better and better. And you know the success is going to be there. He had a quiet, great year last year. I mean, everything about it defensively, offensively, he got the job done. And there are going to be slow starts at times. But what do you do? What do you do after that? What adjustments do you make? Well, he made a nice one right there to get his first extra base hit and first home run, obviously, of 2018.
Now Miles Michaelis, the 29th home run hit by the Cardinals, which now at the moment leads the National League. And it's 0-2. The Kubota power stats. 2 or more home runs hit. Cardinals 6-2. 1 home run, 5-2. So the home run's a big part of the offense for St. Louis. A relief, I'm sure, for Kolten Wong. The 1-2 pitch. And a strikeout of Michaelis, back-to-back Ks. But the home run, the first of the year for Kolten. Drives in his 3rd, and it's 1-0. Each year, on-field presentation honoring our disabled veterans and presenting them with segues. And Jerry Kerr, this is always one of my favorite interviews of the year to visit with you. You started this. It's got to be an exciting day for you.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, this is America right here this morning. I'm telling you, when these guys were getting their segues in the crowd, I mean, there's nothing like it.
I noticed that the guys, after they got their segues, they went down the right field line, and all the players stopped warming up, stopped running, throwing, playing catch, dropped their gloves. Some took off their hats and started to clap.
It's there's nothing like it. The respect, the gratitude that.
And that's the first out.
The gratitude that our community, Cardinal Nation, showers upon these men and women when they do this. There's nothing that replaces it. I mean, that's what they fight for.
And for people that hear it, it's Segs, S-E-G-S, 4, the number 4, Vets, V-E-T-S. And what is Segs for Vets?
Segs for Vets awards unique mobility devices to men and women who are injured in the line of duty, serving our nation in foreign lands. We've expanded it a bit. As you saw today, we had a retired St. Louis County or St. Louis City police officer who lost both of his legs in the line of duty, and that's the special part of this. And we're as honored to award the first responders as we are our nation's military veterans as well.
How much is a Segway?
Well, Segway costs us approximately about $10,000 to award. An alley chair, which is that a unique adapted device that is only available from us, is about $15,000.
That's it out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike on Peraza. Why did you start all this, Jerry, for people that want to know the backstory?
Well, the backstory is I broke my neck back in 1998, and I wanted to do something that made a difference. And as I began to explore different technologies that would benefit me, I wanted to share them with others.
And for Segways that are awarded, the 2-1 pitch, drop down a bunt, Carpenter bare hands, and a nice play. It literally changes lives, the mental aspect, not just the physical.
Well, you've been around some of these guys as you've seen them out on the golf course and doing things, and the camaraderie that they get out of it, it gets them out and re-energizes them, allows them to regain a place in the community, to be part of their family on an everyday basis. You know, the loss of your mobility is just a difficult thing to overcome, and can be very frustrating and lead to bad endings. And so what this does with these devices, it keeps them out of medical devices, keeps them in a device that allows them to not look disabled all the time and to do things that they couldn't ordinarily do.
All of a sudden they become a dad, a husband.
Yes.
They're back in society.
Part of family. The mobility is not something they're thinking about, it's what they're doing. And so that is the big change.
There's a ground ball up the middle. Wong, nice play. The stretch by Martinez and the out. You stick around for one more half inning?
Absolutely.
Jerry Kerr, our guest. Very important visit with Jerry. 1-0 Cardinals. on the go. MLB.tv. And your subscription includes MLB at Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. The Cardinals have a 1-0 lead thanks to Kolten Wong and his home run. That's Mr. Kerr, who's been kind enough to join us. Jerry Kerr from Segs for Vets. And that pitch taken for a strike by Carpenter. I want to make sure and get the website out because we're going out all over the place. Who knows who is watching literally anywhere in the world. So if they want to donate, where do they go?
They go to segsforvets.ngo, and that's SEGS numeral 4 dot, SEGS numeral 4 VETS.NGO, which stands for non-governmental organization.
And for people that would donate, let's say somebody says, and they're watching and they say, well, I want to do it right now. I want to buy a Segway for a vet. How does that happen?
They can go right online. They can make a credit card donation. If they want to mail in a check, all the information is there that allows that to happen. You know, since 2005, we've been awarding these devices, and we have more than 1,700 of them out there. And the ones that are using them, we have to replace them. We have to make repairs. And so that component part is becoming an ever larger resource drainer. And because if a guy's using them, wearing out his batteries, we want him to keep using them. And
Absolutely.
the batteries are expensive. It's an expensive proposition, and yet so cheap as a solution. It's good mentally for them. It allows them to re-engage in the community. It allows them to go get a job. It allows them to help take care of the kids. And what it also does, it doesn't tear them away from their families.
Absolutely. I mean, that's maybe the most important aspect of this.
It is. It's the mental side of it. And I had a wife tell me this weekend that you know, some of the things that are offered are very well-meaning, and yet it takes her husband away from her and her children. Mm-hmm. And she says, I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
This is different in that this is using a tool that we're giving them that they participate with the family more fully.
When a service person gets a Segway and here's a 1-0 pitch, you know, what? Give me a story that just defines what you're able to do. That would be, you know, something that would, you know, you can latch onto if you're a viewer right now, and it's changed your life.
Well, if you could imagine, we've got a Staff Sergeant, Jay Fondren, who's here serving as a Warrior Board. His wife's with him. He has 6 children, and the most important thing that he can do with his alley chair is walk his young daughter to school every morning, to walk with her hand in hand and do things.
It's a base hit to left. First 2 have reached.
There is no way to define how important it is for somebody to do things with their child, and to go rollerblading. The child goes out and rides his bicycle, and Dad can come along with him. I mean, there's no way to replicate that. I mean, and so it happens over and over and over again. The joyful experience of the family is something that we're after. That's what we're trying to do is make sure that these people who have given so much to our nation have a pathway to a joyful family life.
What's the difference for folks that don't know between a Segway and an alley chair?
Well, what happens is that we started awarding Segways because it was the most unique mobility device in the world. And then for those men and women who had no ability to wear prosthetics, have been blown up at the waist and literally nothing left. We finally...
There's a drive out to center field. That'll stay in the ballpark. One runner will tag. That's Carpenter on his way to third.
So we started manufacturing the alley chair, and we manufacture it right here in St. Louis, and we adapt the Segway so it can be used by men and women who can't stand and can't make productive use of prosthetics. And it can go places normal wheelchairs can't go. It's the most extraordinary device in the world, and it's not a medical device, so it'll never be covered by the VA. It'll never be covered by their insurance. The only way they can get one is through us. And we give them away. We give them away. $15,000 sounds like a lot of money. It's cheap. I mean, it is so cheap when you talk about turning somebody's life around. I've had parents tell me My son would not be alive today without the alley chair.
Oh, man.
I mean, we've taken quadruple amputees and modified them with devices so they can use them without arms or legs or any attachments. And so it's just mind over matter, finding a solution, some way to make these people, give them the opportunity to be whole again, if you will.
2 balls, no strikes on Dexter Fowler. The Segs for Vets golf tournament, by the way, they have a fireside chat. That's October 15th. And if you love golf, great, come on out. But if you want to help these veterans, and I had the chance to participate last year, it was an eye-opening experience. It was a wonderful day of golf, obviously. But the fireside chat is something I've been talking about all year, where you have 5-star generals coming out and just rubbing elbows with the players.
Well, you know, that's the cool thing about it is to have someone that is a 4-star general and have them sit there in an environment where they can tell you the truth. And the fireside chat is the most exciting component of the whole evening. And you can come to that whether you play golf or not. It costs $250 to come to fireside chat as opposed to a lot more money to play golf. But it's really not about the golf. It's about the camaraderie that we've talked about. It's about getting to know these men and women and having access to not only them, but people who can really tell you what's going on in the world.
It was eye-opening.
Yeah, it really is.
It's eye-opening. The 2-2. Little chopper hit back to the pitcher, and everybody safe, and the run scores to make it 2-0.
Pretty exciting. Exciting ball club.
Well, Castillo tried to barehand it. Carpenter off with contact, and he scores, and that is a base hit and an RBI for Dexter Fowler, his 9th of the year. Very tough play here, but Carpenter pushing the envelope a bit and scores to make it 2-0 Cardinals. Here brings in Paul DeYoung. Grounded into a double play. First time up with the bases loaded back in the first inning. Jerry Kerr is our guest. Segs for Vets. You have a lot of folks that volunteer here in St. Louis. The folks from Fabic Cat do a great job at sponsoring this. The Cardinals helping out. It's very, very important.
You know, the Fabic family and the Fabic Cat employees, all 1,200, more than 1,200 of them in locations all across the Midwest.
That's a base hit into center. And Molina will be held up, and the Cardinals will have the bases loaded.
But the Missouri Bankers Association all across Missouri, small hometown banks, gave more than $160,000 last year to the Segs for Vets program. We're just literally, as we look across the community, the banks, everybody wants to help as long as they can find out. And there's no program like this where you can see the impact immediately of what your dollar goes for.
Wouldn't this be the first great time for the first base hit for Tyler O'Neill here in the big leagues? The bases are loaded, 1 out. Oof. See, let it rip. Grounded out to third his first time up. And again, first time ever at Busch Stadium, a first responder honored. Retired St. Louis City police officer Matt Browning, injured while serving in the line of duty, which was an added bonus here today. The 0-1 pitch. 0-2. The 0-2 pitch. O'Neill pulls it foul. Want to make sure and get that website out again.
Yeah, www.segs4vets, SEGS4VETS.NGO.
Bases loaded, and the 0-2 pitch to O'Neill. High fly ball lifted out to left. Winker over, makes the catch. Runner tags. That's Molina to the plate. He'll score, and that makes it 3-0 on the first ever Major League RBI for Tyler O'Neill. Jerry, you have changed so many lives on a personal level. How proud of that aspect of your life are you?
You know, this is my life, and the volunteers that have given up so much of their life to work at this, I mean, I feel like it's the most important thing. You know, when I broke my neck, I didn't know what I was going to do, and there's a real blessing, real blessing.
So 2 outs and 2 on. Here's Kolten Wong, who is homered. Why did you go in this direction? You could have gone in a number of different directions to help folks.
Yeah, you know, I said I told people I broke my neck to save my soul. I just, you know, it was just clearly I wanted to help other people and find the things that helped me to share with them. And who better to share it with than the men and women of the United States military? Because truthfully, without organizations like ours, they wouldn't have access to them. They really wouldn't. I mean, you know, it's just the VA won't try new things like this. I mean, it's just, and probably for good reason. I mean, they don't always work, you know, but this time, this worked so well that the VA doesn't want to cover it because they don't have the money for it. But
sure.
But this has been an important program. There's no question about it.
How many servicemen and women have you helped now over the years?
More than 1,700.
Wow.
That we've awarded.
That's millions of dollars.
More than, yeah. On the average, it probably would have cost the federal government close to $50 million to do what we've done. But the reality is this, that with volunteers and a proper path and running it in a smart way, you can make an impact with not a lot of money. And we feel so strongly about it. Our board, advisory board, and our volunteers give 35 cents of every dollar we spend every year. So that kind of tells the story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. 2-2 the count here on Kolten Wong with 2 runners on. Cardinals leading 3-0. And a strikeout. Jerry, you're doing such great work. God bless you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
You got it. What a moment here at the ballpark. Donate right now. Segs4vets.ngo. Changing lives. Past champions Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Rory McIlroy, and the strongest field in golf. Limited tickets are available. PGAchampionship.com to get your tickets for one of the premier events coming to St. Louis at one of the premier golf courses, Belle Reve. We're in the top of the 4th. Cotton candy's out, the soda, the hot dogs, and the Cardinals with a lead. Here's Joey Votto. And a line drive into center. Catch made by Bader. And we check in with Jim Hayes.
Dan, you know this. Jordan Hicks doesn't look anything like a pitcher who made the jump from A ball all the way to the bigs. Hicks pitched out of trouble in the ninth yesterday to pick up his first major league win. After the game, Yadier Molina said this of Hicks: he's amazing. He has no fear. When you throw 102, you don't have to be afraid of anything. I asked Hicks about facing big-name players like Joey Votto with the game on the line. He told me, I grew up watching these guys, but at the end of the day, we're all out here trying to win games. I just try to attack the zone no matter who's hitting. We had Jordan on the pregame show, Dan. Tommy Pham served as pinch interviewer. He helped out with it.
Nice. I like it. Jordan Hicks, boys, he's been fun to watch.
He has been great. It's easy to say, hey, trust yourself, be confident. You throw 100 miles an hour. It's harder to do when you're out there because that doubt can creep in. I've been so impressed just his poise, the way he goes about it. Like I said, he's not afraid of anything, and he's going to be in a lot of big ball games for the St. Louis Cardinals.
I was talking with our friend Dan Hyatt, who works on our pre- and post-game shows and game notes and some of the historical facts that we like to look up, and he said it was interesting. Yet Jared Hughes on the mound, 8th major league season, over 1,500 batters faced, nearly 400 career games, and there's Jordan Hicks, 9 games, 21 years old, a 3-3 game, and we both were saying that's baseball now.
It is. It is. There's room for a little bit of everybody.
That's lifted in the air to center field, and Bader with the catch. Our appreciation to Dan and his work, tireless efforts that he puts together. Also our thanks to Jerry Kerr, who was just here in the booth. I'll say it one more time and then we'll move on. If you get a chance to take in what they're doing with Segs for Vets, do it. It's changing lives, and Jerry is an amazing man. 2 outs, and here's Scott Schebler. That curveball's gotten a little bit sharper as we've gone along here for Michaelis.
It has, for sure, and it's nice to be able to just throw it in there first pitch. He gets ahead with that thing and it just makes your fastball more effective off of it.
That tails away.
Yeah, very good.
Sink.
Very good tailing action right there. He can throw the 96 four-seam up in the zone, but that 91 right there with that downward movement, it's a really good pitch.
That's inside. The Reds have scored just 1 run off the opposition starting pitching in the last 35 innings. That was Friday night, the home run off of Michael Walkup. The 2-2 to left center. Bader is there, and he ties a record by making 3 catches in 1 inning. Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's Harrison Bader, fresh off his record-tying catches. You like that?
I really do. We get to see history in that inning. That's what I love about baseball. You just never know.
It's a long list of catches in 3 innings by one particular player.
Well, his name's on it now.
You got it. Hey, just to get here and be on any list, it's a big deal. They're the best of the best in the world. Nothing like it. Big League Baseball. Oh, 2 the count on Bader, who struck out back in the second. And that pitch taken high, 1-2. And a base hit. The Phillips 66 ticket vouchers are back, and they're better than ever. Fill up at Phillips 66, 8 gallons or more, and you can get a voucher for up to 50% off on a pair of tickets, or even 8 tickets total. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Phillips66. Miles Michaelis, we've seen, can handle the bat a bit. Struck out back in the second inning. Cardinals now with 7 hits. You know, the lineup is hitting a lot of home runs when everyone in the Cardinals lineup today has a homer, including this guy, except Tyler O'Neill. And he's the one supposed to hit all the home runs.
I got a feeling Tyler O'Neill will hit plenty of them. It was pretty cool, though, to see Miles Michaelis get his. And to be honest, I wasn't quite expecting that.
No. And check on Bader. One of the questions I would have with the speed of Bader, would you give him a pitch to try to steal and then bunt him over in this particular spot?
I think you absolutely could do that. He gets good jumps. He's a good base runner.
Boy, he had a good jump there, too.
He was on the move right there. If that's a normal position player up to bat trying to lay that one down, maybe he pulls it back, realizes that Bader's got that good jump and he's going to be able to get it. As a pitcher, you're not in that situation quite as much. You probably don't see it. You're focused on getting that bunt down as opposed to where the runner is. But Bader did get a very, very nice jump, and you got to think that Castillo's going to take a look over there.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Taken low. Recent edition of Cardinals Magazine was out, and they got a section in the magazine in which they talk to what they call the better halves, the wives of the players, and Miles Michaelis' wife is featured in that as she became a sensation, if you will, in Japan. She'd go to games, have to do the autographs and the pictures and the selfies. Well, you have to read all about it in Cardinals Magazine.
I'm going to do that now, actually. Well, I can't go now.
I need your focus here.
All right.
So Bader is your runner at first. 3 balls and 1 strike. Very shallow in right field, Scott Schebler. And he walked him. A reminder that Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment, pick your power, fuel, or battery with Steel. Search STIHL.
The peepers are out. I love it.
Pretty good.
These guys have a little fun, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
This game is fun. There's the ringleader right back there in Adam Wainwright. He's got good peepers, too.
So that's only done on the walks.
Right.
The other stuff is done with hits.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on, but that is certainly for walks.
The peepers.
The peepers, correct.
His first ever major league walk, and now it's Carpenter. He lifts a fly ball out to left, calling for it. Winker. He'll make the catch. Got a strong arm, and one hops it to third. Right-hander Austin Bryce has begun to throw in the bullpen for Cincinnati. The Cardinals 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position. If you go back to the Chicago series, Cardinals were 3 for the last 20. You do that, you get some starting pitching. Usually that's the formula for success. And strike one on Molina.
The home runs, and as you mentioned, the Cardinals tied for the league lead. The home runs are great, and you're going to win a lot of games when you do it, but you still have to be able to get the big hit. And coming into this game, 2 for 14 in this series with runners in scoring position. It's nice to get another couple more in this game alone.
2 strikes on Molina. He has walked and scored and singled back in the first. Big gap in left center. The 0-2. Molina with a fly ball out to left. Winker backs up and makes the catch. It brings in Jose Martinez. Doubled off the glove of the third baseman in the first inning and fly deep to center his second time up in the third. A pickoff, and back in safely is Bader. Well wishes for Raymond Griffith watching the game today. Want to see him back here at the ballpark soon. And that pitch taken low. His grandson works here at the ballpark, Justin Meyer. So Raymond, get back here soon. One ball and one strike. What have you seen out of Castillo today?
Well, you can tell why they really like him. He's got great stuff. His changeup is really good. He's got a wipeout slider when he stays on top of it. But like any pitcher, if you make mistakes up in the zone, you make mistakes with 2 strikes, these big league hitters will hit it. He's been fairly effective, but he makes mistakes here and there.
And like many big leaguers, you get pitches up, you get hurt. And that's where he's primarily been when he's got touched up in this game.
And there are outs up in the zone, especially for a guy that throws as hard as he does, but they've got to be up higher. Can't be in the middle of the strike zone. The out has to be at the top or above the strike zone, especially with that great changeup that he has. He could play off of that high fastball very well, but it's all about getting the feel for it.
And the 1-2 pitch to Jose Martinez. Ground ball up the middle, ranging to his left. It's Peraza. Nice play. Cardinals can cash in after the first two reach. Red Bush Stadium in St. Louis, a cool afternoon along with Brad Thompson. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes with us as well. Big crowd, over 40,000 here today. Light rain falling at the ballpark currently. This will be Devin Mesoraco, followed by Blandino and Castillo. To get through the Reds in 7 innings last week, Michael is through 83 pitches. Very efficient third. It was 8 pitches. Last inning just 10. This is popped up to the right side. Martinez over. Reaching in and out of play. This time last year, the Cardinals were 9-11. This year, 12-8. And already they were in 4th place a season ago, and they start in 1st place today. The ebbs and flows of a major league season.
It happens, and there are some times where you might not even be playing your best baseball throughout a season, and you rattle off some wins. And there are times when you are doing everything right and you can't buy one. It's a long season, but the Cardinals have had a great start to it.
0-2, pulled foul. History was made last night as Sean Manaea, a lefty for the A's, 7th no-hitter in Oakland A's history.
He was pretty impressive in that. Struck out, I think it was 10 in the outing. And I did read something pretty impressive. His pregame meal was 3 burger sliders and fries. So
breakfast
kids,
of champions, huh?
I guess that's what it is. Everybody has a routine, Dan. I feel like his is pretty good.
Manaea, the 12th no-hitter in A's franchise history. The 7th done by an Oakland A. Hanley Ramirez, the ground out to get the final out. There's a swing and a miss, a strikeout. Dallas Brayton, I was watching the game last night. He was on the call. He had the previous no-hitter. His was a perfect game. And I had to laugh when they said, well, you know, when did you know you had a perfect game? He said basically after the first pitch.
You can act like you don't know generally, but you know what's going on in a game.
How many did you have?
Well, let me think.
Well, I'm thinking Little League, high school.
Yeah, I didn't pitch too much in Little League or high school. I think I had 1 or 2 in college.
Did you really?
Yeah. We only threw 7 innings, though.
The ground ball off the bat of Blandino. There's 2 away. Brings in the pitcher's spot. Arquilla, drive to success. Highest ground ball percentage on non-fastballs. And you mentioned the success he's had in particular with that curveball.
It has been really good. He's locating it down in the zone, and nobody's been able to square it up for the most part. I know he gave up a knock on one early that hung up, but it's been a very, very effective pitch for him.
And that is a base hit inside the first base line. So the pitcher, Castillo, a 2-out hit.
I know that swing very well. That is your typical pitcher swing, and you were fortunate enough to get a fastball up in the zone. Steps in the bucket a little bit, just gets the barrel to it and shoots it the other way. If that ball gets down on the outer half, Castillo doesn't have a chance to get to it, but the fact that it was up in the zone just gave him a chance.
Big happy birthday to one of our favorites here at the ballpark, Tom Perchomsky. Chomps, happy birthday. You love Chomps.
I do love Chomps. I didn't know it was his birthday.
Happy birthday, Chomps. Castillo now tied with Max Scherzer for the most hits by any pitcher with 4 this year. He's 4 for 9, and this is Billy Hamilton, the 9th place hitter. Chomps is such a versatile guy that not only does he work with tickets and in the front office, but if you're a pitcher coming back and you're rehabbing and you're here in St. Louis and the club may be on the road, well, Chomps will sell you a suite or some tickets and then put on the gear and go catch you in the bullpen.
Chomps used to catch me in the off seasons here. He would get dialed up if it was too cold outside to get on the mound. He would do so in the tunnels. He is a gamer.
Such a good guy, and we have so many people that have been here in the front office, ticket sales, the vendors. It's amazing how many have been here for 20, 30 years, and Chomps has basically spent his life here at the ballpark.
Not a bad place to spend it.
Nope. Here's a 1-2. Curveball, a beauty, and he struck him out. He froze him. 4 strikeouts today, 2 in the inning for Miles Michaelis. Whoop, drops right in there. 3-0 midway through 5. Fifth and 6th weekend matchup you don't want to miss. Great seats still remain for this friendly rivalry. Get yours today at cardinals.com/promotions. There's only one Cardinals baseball. The Budweiser What's on Tap off day tomorrow. A lot of home games coming up. Get your tickets. Cardinals first of 3 with the Mets. Weekend series in Pittsburgh. First time to see the Pirates. And then the White Sox, Cubs, and Minnesota will be here. But the White Sox, as you get a look at Dexter Fowler, scary situation with Danny Farquhar, one of their pitchers, suffered brain hemorrhage and basically collapsed in the dugout, is in serious condition, and we'll see the White Sox on May 1st. Wow.
Farquhar had pitched, I believe it was the 6th inning, went in between, and as you said, just ended up collapsing. Scary moment. They said on the way out that he did regain consciousness, but is in the hospital now, and thoughts and prayers out to Danny Farquhar and his family.
It's 1-2 the count on Fowler, who has walked and picked up an infield RBI base hit back in the 3rd. Just a bit high. The Reds are 3-17, which is equal the worst 20-game start in club history, the 1931 team. They have had one 100-loss season, and that was back in 1982. And it's a leadoff walk. Nurses Night returns this year. It's a day-night option for all the shift workers. Choose from the day game May 8th, night game on the 21st of May. Either way, purchase a special themed ticket. You'll receive an exclusive Cardinals scrub jacket. And tickets are on sale now at cardinals.com/theme. Get your scrub jacket, day or night. Again, your scrub jacket, May 8th or the 21st. Fowler running and diving in head first. The stolen base, his 2nd of the year.
Castillo never even gives him a look over there. Fowler had the walking lead, and he has this one easy.
That scrub jacket can be yours on the 8th or the 21st.
Now, can you get that in the day or the night?
That's right.
That's kind of a good deal.
Annie Nurse, come on out. Here's a 2-0 pitch. DeYoung hits it up the middle to his left. Peraza.
Productive out right there. Gets the runner over to third base now with 1 out by DeYoung.
Here's Tyler O'Neill. He is the 25th Canadian-born player to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. There's 6 total right now in the game active, and 2 in this ball game today. Votto and Tyler O'Neill. The first pitch is strike. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, I mentioned the other day that O'Neill thinks some people can't see past his power and don't give him credit for his base running and defense. He says people also tend to think big guys like him are injury prone. His spring was cut short by hamstring and oblique issues. He told me those were the only injuries of his professional career. Dan Tyler told me that's something I take pride in, my durability.
Being there to answer the bell every day, that's part of the big leagues.
It is for sure, and it's quite apparent Tyler O'Neill takes very good care of himself.
That's why you're turning into one of the best in the game already. Lines it to third, and a double play. Couldn't hit that ball any harder. Blandino says, whew, and ow.
tying people up with the fastball in. He's elevating. The slider has been wipeout, and his breaking ball got a really good feel for that. He's using the whole arsenal. He's been effective. He's been around the zone. He's got on top, and he's been very efficient. The 58 pitches right now.
After the first 2 starts in spring, you just didn't know what you had. You know, you realize this was kind of the wild card of the rotation, taking a chance on a guy that has redesigned his career over in Japan and changed the way he's pitched. And man, it plays. He's been good.
It certainly does play. And we should know better by now, shouldn't we? We should stop overreacting to spring training. But when you don't know a guy, when you don't have a track record with your club, you tend to do that. You tend to look too much into the numbers. But after those first couple in spring, he made some big time adjustments. He ended up being more effective, got a feel for his off speed. And you look at the numbers that he's putting up, he has been a great signing for the Cardinals.
Very efficient as Peraza hits it out of play. He's 0 for 2. Tried to bunt his way on back in the 3rd. Good play by Carpenter. Peraza, one of those guys, fairly aggressive. Just over 3 pitches per plate appearance. 2nd lowest in baseball. Only Aledmys Diaz lower. Long throw, and Peraza aboard. That'll be an error on Carpenter, his 2nd.
Well, Carpenter gets this thing and just tries to sling it over there. I know he's been working with a couple different arm angles, goes over the top here and just sails this one.
Here's Jesse Winker. It's the first time the leadoff man for the Reds in any inning has been aboard. So Michael is now working from the stretch, and that pitch taken inside. Winker is 0 for 2.
We showed you earlier the ground ball rate that Miles Michaelis has, especially off of his off-speed stuff. You see a slider in right there. Another ground ball fixes that last mistake.
And the 1-0. Drilled out to deep right field. Fowler is back, and it's over his head and off the wall. A run will score, and Jesse Winker in with an RBI double to make it 3-1.
Well, this ball here is hit on the screws by Jesse Winker. Fowler going after it, but just didn't quite have enough to get to that baseball. Would have been a tremendous play had he gotten it.
And now Joey Votto representing the tying run for Cincinnati. He is lined out. That was to center and also fly to left. 0 for 2 today. Having words with the home plate umpire. He does it, though, the professional way, with his head down, not showing up the umpire. And usually a guy like Votto gets a lot of leeway. That's off of Michaelis and into shallow left field. Racing after it to Young. Racing in to score, Winker. 3-2. You know, you could make the case that Michaelis should be out of this inning. The error by Carpenter, the play in right, and now this ball off of Michaelis's hands. If he lets that go, that's an out.
And as a pitcher, it's easy to look at the video afterwards and realize that, but in the moment you want to try to make a play. The bare hand one is a very difficult one to make for anybody, but for the pitcher on that one, it's tough. And all of a sudden this game got really tight.
So it's a base hit, RBI number 6 for Joey Votto. And the batter will be Scooter Gennett, 0 for 2, struck out and fly to center. A swing and a miss. It was just the 5th unearned run by the Cardinals allowed here in 2018, the highest ground ball percentage. It's the Cubs, Diamondbacks, Padres, and then Cardinals.
Well, with this inning the way it's gone, another ground ball would be something Miles Michaelis would love to get right here, get himself a couple of outs.
Curveball drops in. Scooter Gennett ended the game yesterday with a ground ball. That turned into a double play, turned very nicely by Kolten Wong. 0-2 the count.
That was a great moment yesterday for Jordan Hicks, too, who was very efficient coming in relief of the 7th, had a quick 8th, found himself in a little trouble there in the 9th, and got himself out of it with that big time double play ball. Great moment for him.
Here's the 0-2 pitch by Michaelis. Gennett went down to get it, and a high fly ball lifted out to right. Catch made by Fowler. And gets it back in quickly. That ball is gone in Cincinnati.
This may be the pitcher in me speaking, but I think that ballpark is unfair at times.
I think it's a real problem for them to even think about attracting free agents. They don't, historically, recent history, spend a lot of money. You better draft pitchers, and you better draft guys that can put it on the ground. Sinker bowlers.
You are right.
Fly ball pitchers, it will not work there. And Schebler puts it in the air, racing after it. Wong, he wants it and has it for the out. Take a look at our Chevy Fox Tracks. With 2 outs, the batter will be Devin Mesoraco.
Well, Miles Michaelis throws that slider and just gets in there, ties up Schebler really well. Can't get the barrel to it and get a nice easy pop up.
Remember back in 2014, Mesoraco was the future of catching for the Reds. He had 25 home runs, drove in 80 since that time. 7 home runs total and a 193 average. And he yanks that foul. Now, the Reds did pick high last year in the draft. They got a two-way player they think is going to be a superstar on the mound. And it looks like they're going to pick awfully high again, maybe #1 overall.
They could. The hard part is there are so many teams that are trending in the same direction as the Reds that are trying to rebuild. It'll be hard for everybody to hit. Hunter Green, the guy that you talk about, he's a stud. He throws 100 miles an hour. He's free and easy. He's a tremendous athlete. Could be a two-way player, but they see him as a pitcher. That's great, but it's hard to continue to get those guys. They've got Nick Senzel, also a third baseman that the organization, Major League Baseball, is high on. He's a great prospect and will do some good things at the big league level. But you're going to have a lot more than that, and you have to keep hitting in the draft. And you have to keep developing the guys that you have around, and that is something that the St. Louis Cardinals have done such a fantastic job of. You draft the right guys, you develop them, and then you sprinkle in those right free agents to make sure you get that same winning mix.
1-2 the count. And a strikeout from Michaelis. Reds strand a runner after the first 3 had reached, and 2-run score. Coming up, Kolten Wong. He is homered here today. You're watching Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Fans purchasing the special theme ticket receive an exclusive St. Louis Cardinals soccer jersey. And soccer night tickets are available for you at cardinals.com/theme. Austin Bryce is our Chevy call to the pen. 3-2 our score as we move to the bottom of the 6th after 5 innings of work from Luis Castillo. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Now pay attention, get off the iPad. Thank you. And start watching the game. Boy, rarely, if ever, does that work out when you say get off the iPad or something and a fan actually listens.
I would actually love you to talk to my kids. if people respond that well to you, maybe the Thompson kiddos could do that.
For fans that don't know, you have 2 little ones.
I do. I've got a 4-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and I love the daddy life. I enjoy it.
Pretty good.
It is fun. And what I love about it is they love to sit and watch baseball with me.
There's a 2-0 pitch. Wong, a good rip, fouled it back. 2-1 the count. He homered back in the 2nd, struck out in the 3rd. There it is back in the 2nd. First extra base hit of the year, and it's a home run for Kolten Wong. That base hit by Joey Votto, by the way, he passed Justin Morneau. 2nd most hits by a Canadian-born player in the history of Major League Baseball. He's still over 500 hits away from Larry Walker. The 2-2 pitch. Larry Walker, for those that are into advanced metrics and how players are evaluated, WAR, wins above replacement, an incredible 72.6 for Larry Walker.
Larry Walker was one of the most talented baseball players, every aspect of it.
There's a ground ball, the out. He was an MVP, won the batting title 3 different times, and he won defense, 7 Gold Gloves, and one of the best base runners in the game.
Yep, just smart. Like I said, 5-tool player. And we've seen recently, we saw Tim Raines finally get that bump, and it was a lot of the analytical group that got him in, started pushing the numbers. Really hope that we see Larry Walker trend in that direction, because he is much deserving of being in Cooperstown.
I think it's starting to go that direction. I'm sure some voters penalize him for playing at Coors Field, but you know, what are you going to do? You play where you play, and he put up numbers.
Well, he put up numbers everywhere. That's kind of the biggest thing. I get it. Some of the power numbers are going to be increased, but you got to look at the overall numbers. I mean, he did it everywhere in his career.
Here's the 0-1. And a grounder hit to 3rd off the bat of Bader. 2 away. I spoke with Larry at length at spring training. He makes his home in the West Palm area, and he doesn't do a lot of interviews. He said, I agreed to do this because I like you. I said, I appreciate that, Larry. And he said, I'm just starting to sweat even thinking about doing it. And he was sweating as we were doing the interview. He's probably watching our game right now. I'll get the random text message from Larry Walker. He said to me one time, he pulled me aside when he was playing in his final year in St. Louis, and he said, I want to say thank you, which a lot of players don't do that. He said, my wife and kids watch, and you know how banged up I am. He was struggling to get out of bed to play games, and yet he would find a way to be in the lineup. And he said, you know, I stink right now, and you're still making me sound like I'm okay. I said, well, Larry, you're still pretty good. You could do damage at any time. And he said, I just appreciate the fact that, not that I was covering for him, but I explained the pain that he was in. He was one heck of a player. 3-2 our Congo line, and they're having a little fun here at the ballpark after that home run by Kolten Wong. 3-2 our score. The 7th inning rolls in. Miles Michaelis has pitched fairly well here today.
He's pitched very well. Michaelis went 7 innings last time out against the Reds. He finds himself in the 7th inning right now, and he's been very effective. 74 pitches so far. He's just attacking the strike zone. Got the 5 punch out so far, walked to nobody. The free passes will end up hurting you. It happened a couple times to Castillo. Miles Michaelis just doing a good job filling up that strike zone.
They'll get 7, 8, and 9. Alex Blandino, who started here in the top of the 7th. He's 1 for 2. Does Michaelis remind you of anyone? Does anybody that you played against or with come to mind?
Well, Miles Michaelis, his stuff in general kind of reminds you a little bit about Mike Leake. Mike Leake is a guy, you know, that throws all of his pitches for strikes, did attack the zone quite a bit. Now he throws a little bit harder than Mike Leake did. I just love the arsenal that he has. Do you have a guy in mind? You've seen a lot of baseball up here.
You know, I was thinking, yeah, there's a bunch actually, a combination of a few guys. One would have been Mike Leake with his pace. His pace has been good, not quite to the Leake level.
Love that, by the way.
His pace is good. His body type reminds me a little bit of Bob Tewksbury. His approach reminds me a little bit of Jeff Suppan. You know, pitch to contact kind of thing.
Surgical on both sides of the plate. Thinking out there as he goes on, and a nice little slider right there. 89 mile an hour on the outer half.
So Michaelis picks up the strikeout, and that's his 6th of the day. The pinch hitter will be Phil Gosselin. But he has the kind of stuff that we've seen that plays against both right-handed batters and lefties. It's not to say it's always right, but he's got good stuff to do that. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Miles Michaelis, signed a 2-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals. There's a grounder, backhanded by Wong, off balance throw. What a play by Kolten Wong.
Kolten brings big-time athleticism to the position. He has to range quite a bit, and it's going to take a really strong throw to get him here off balance, and makes a perfect throw. Pitchers love that. We've talked about the ground balls all day. The Cardinals get a lot of them. One of the tops in baseball. You got to be able to field them also. Kolten Wong with a great play there.
Here's Billy Hamilton. There's 2 things that I think separate Kolten Wong defensively when I watch him. He showed it yesterday going back and making that catch with his back to the infield. And then balls up the middle. I'm not sure there's a better second baseman on a backhanded play and ranging to his right. He gets to a ton of those.
He really does. And like I said, when you're going to get all these ground balls, you need them to be gobbled up. And he does a great job of that. The middle infield, both of them. I think that's got a chance to be a really strong duo for the next couple of years.
Boy, this is a good play. Quick transition, off balance throw, and he gets Gosselin. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Hamilton, and with 2 strikes, Carpenter backs up. Same with Martinez at first. And it's popped up. Long way to go for DeYoung, and it'll be O'Neill who makes the catch. Time to stretch. Nice play by Kolten. It's 3-2. Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. A rainy day, but not hard enough to home play. 3-2 our score. And Kevin Quackenbush, the Chevy Colt to the pen. This will be his 10th appearance. It's not only been a struggle for the starters, but a lot of innings already piling up for this bullpen of Cincinnati.
It has been a lot of innings. They have done a great job, though. Coming into yesterday's action, I think it was 19 scoreless in a row before Yadier Molina hit that home run to put the Cardinals ahead that the Reds bullpen had rolled out there. They've been getting a lot of work, but the group has been very effective.
So you want to manage. Well, here's what Mike Matheny is dealing with at the moment. A 1-run lead. The top of the lineup coming up for the Reds, which means a lot of left-handed batters. Tyler Lyons, you would have to assume, is off limits after back-to-back games. Jordan Hicks, an extended appearance of over 2 innings yesterday. He's not available, you wouldn't think. Well, Bud Norris has gotten up. So then it tells you, do you extend him potentially for the 2 inning save? Do you go to Greg Holland? Do you like Dominic Leone in that spot? You know, Mike was indicating to us that he likes Leone in particular against left-handed batters. So those are some of the options presented to Mike as we speak.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have so many guys down in the bullpen that you feel like you can rely on in a spot. I'll tell you this, though, the way that Miles Michaelis has been throwing the baseball and how efficient he's been, I wouldn't it would definitely cross my mind to keep him in there. The way that he's throwing it, mixing in the pitches to both lefties and righties. But Mike's got a couple of good options down there in that bullpen right now. One of them's throwing in Bud Norris.
So 3-2 the count, and if you score in this inning, depending on what you can do, that changes the mindset as well. And a strikeout of Carpenter may have chased a ball. And that's the first out here in the 7th. Great partner of the St. Louis Cardinals and Fox Sports Midwest, the folks from Chick-fil-A and their employees and families. About 700 area Chick-fil-A employees and families are enjoying baseball here at the ballpark.
Do they all bring chicken sandwiches for us?
I wish, because if they did, come on up. You have an open invite anytime. My kids then would be at every game. Here's the 0-1. Lester Schreier out of Potosi, Missouri is watching the ball game today. Lester, want to wish you get well wishes and get you back to the ballpark as soon as possible. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Molina today, a base hit to center, walked and scored in the 3rd, and flied out to left with 2 runners on. That's hit down the left field line, a fair ball, and all the way to the wall. Yadi on his way to second base and on base for the 3rd time today.
Quackenbush leaves another one up here to Yadi, and he's doing what he's been doing this series all year. Turns on one, gets himself in there. There's a big run sitting there at second base right now in this ball game.
Jose Martinez, he has doubled, fly to deep center, grounded into a fielder's choice. Line drive into right, and the catch is made by Schebler. He makes an out. A lot of times they are loud outs.
Just drives the ball that way too. We've seen him pull a couple, saw him pull the double earlier in the 1st inning down the line, then drives the ball that way. Once again, just as a pitcher, it's hard to know exactly what to do with him because he's handling fastballs, handling breaking balls inside, outside. Just complete hitter, has been for a long time, but finally got that opportunity, and Martinez has been running with it.
There's Dexter Fowler on base 3 times. RBI single on the infield back in the 3rd and has walked twice.
Miles Michael is there talking it through with the other starting pitchers. A lot of times you don't generally do that if you're still in the ball game.
He'd be on the bench probably with a jacket on.
Everybody's different. Some guys like to talk.
Chris Carpenter was not one of them.
He was not. Even as a teammate, you didn't even look at him on game day.
Get away.
You let him do his thing. I loved it. I love watching him pitch. I love the intensity that he had. And one of the greatest things that Carpenter had is that work ethic, that drive, the stuff that people didn't even see. He worked harder than about anybody I've ever seen.
Molina at second base. That was his 338th career double. And he's now tied for 10th with Ozzie Smith in franchise history.
Pretty good company right there for Yadier Molina.
You bet. Chris Carpenter, we're going to see him more at the ballpark this year than ever before. Kind of roving in the minor leagues, but in particular here with the big leagues once the summer hits. Kids are out of school. 2-2.
That's good news for everybody, whether it be the minor league guys that get a chance to talk to him, the big league guys, young starters, veteran starters. You could talk to Chris Carpenter about anything, and he has got wisdom for you. He's just one of those guys. He's been through a lot. He had success at the highest level, and he is one heck of a teammate, one heck of a teacher.
3-2. And he'll tell you he learned from Roger Clemens and David Wells, Pat Henkin, his time.
Old school.
Yep, with the Toronto Blue Jays. And those guys, they all had a little edge to them.
I think that's why Carp didn't talk to me for the first 3 years I was in the league. I'm pretty sure.
And he's your teammate.
It was like my 4th spring training where he was sitting by a little powwow we were doing with the relievers. He said, man, how long have you been funny? The whole time you just never talked to me.
You didn't talk to many.
No. I stuck my head in my locker and just hope nobody noticed me, and I hope that I could just stay on the roster as long as possible. It worked out for a while.
It sure did. So the 2-out walk to Fowler, and now Paul DeYoung came up with the bases loaded back in the 1st, grounded into an inning-ending double play, single to center, and grounded out to short. Outfield is deep. They are straight away. Norris continues to throw in the Cardinals bullpen, and that would tell you as well he's coming in. It's a season high 3 walks for Dexter Fowler. Cardinals looking for some insurance. Ooh. View from section 139. DeYoung hasn't struck out in his last 10 plate appearances, telling you he's probably seeing the ball a little bit better. 1-2.
I think we've seen Paul DeYoung be a little bit more aggressive here recently as well. When he's striking out a little bit, he takes a couple of pitches that maybe he could handle. He's been jumping on stuff more often now.
Pulls it foul. Again, it does beg the question, does Norris go for an extended appearance today, or are you looking at Greg Holland finally going to that 9th inning role? Leone, we'll see how it plays out
as well. There are a lot of guys down there, a lot of options. And I think that whatever the 8th inning looks like is going to have a lot to do with it. If you see Bud Norris go out there and he throws under 10 pitches and he looks like he's on top of things, well, maybe it makes your decision for you.
See, that previous pitch to Paul DeYoung That tells me he's seeing the ball much better. Didn't pull off that pitch, spoiled it. Yeah, it's a foul ball, but it means a lot more, I think, when you consider how DeYoung has been going.
Yes, you got a foul ball right there, breaking ball down and away, gives himself another chance instead of just waving at it.
DeYoung with a fly ball out to deep left field, at the wall, gone! You want insurance? You got it! Love it. 3-run shot to Young.
Dan, you mentioned that foul ball before. It might be important. It turned out to be a 3-run foul ball. Gave him another chance. And Paul DeYoung just continues the tear that he is on. This kid is special.
6-2 Cardinals. It was a 6-pitch at bat. And now Tyler O'Neill. And again, it's a Honda home run inning, so $1,000 raised for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Thanks to Paul DeYoung. O'Neill hits it out of play. He hit a ball his last time up. Turned out to be a double play, infield in. Lined out to third. It was 100 miles per hour off the bat. Picked up a sac fly with the bases loaded. First ever Major League RBI back into third, and grounded out to third. One ball and 2 strikes. Here's a 1-2. Dominic Leone has joined Bud Norris in throwing in the Cardinals pen. The strikeout of O'Neill. But the damage done with 2 outs, a 3-run homer, Paul DeYoung. A happy observer there. Cardinals have a 4-run lead. Bud Norris is into the ball game. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Norris pitched in game 1. Dominic Leone had joined him but sits. So Norris has the 8th inning at least.
Dominic Leone got up a little bit late there. The strikeout happened and probably didn't have time to get him into that ball game. But Bud Norris has been fantastic. 17 punch outs in his 10 1/3. That slider's been really good for him.
And a strike, and we start play here in the 8th. The Cardinals pen the last 5 games an ERA of 5.87. And yet still winning games. And a ground ball to Paul. 1 away. Our crowd today, 44,430. 44430.
Just one spot.
I'm sure there was some that you say, well, now you got the 4-run lead. It wasn't a high pitch count for Michaelis, but you know, you've dealt with it a lot where a starter is told, hey, you're coming out of the game as Jerko takes over for Carpenter. You shut it down mentally.
Yeah, you could see Michaelis in the dugout. He was talking to all the other starters. You know you're out of that game and it changes. You're in game mode and you're fully focused. Once you get that nod that, hey, great job, you did it, you kind of let your guard down a little bit. It's hard to jump right back into that mode. You pretty much have to go to the bullpen at that point.
Here's Jesse Winker. RBI double back in the 6th. That was really the only inning that Michaelis had any issues. Peraza had reached on an error. Winker doubled over the outstretched glove of Dexter Fowler. Votto singled. But then he settled in and got the next 3. Kept it 3-2, and the Cardinals have tacked on 3 more. Mention how streaky Paul DeJong can be. He has 32 career home runs. He has not been in the big leagues for a full year yet. May 28th will be the anniversary of that. And DeJong has homered in consecutive games 10 times already. 10. That's streaky.
That is streaky. That is good. And he's a guy that if you make a mistake to, he makes you pay for it.
It's another strikeout for Bud Norris. Plaza Tire Service on the replay. A lot of strikeouts already this season for Bud Norris.
Well, he has been racking them up, and he's been doing it with that pitch right there, that tight little slider there at 90. We saw the ground ball before that off the bat of Peraza was one at 89 that just tied him up. That is a very effective pitch to both righties and lefties.
That's 18 strikeouts already for Bud Norris in just 11 innings of work. The 1-0 pitch to Votto. Out to center field. Bader is there, and Norris, 7-pitch inning and a 1-2-3-8. Legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And by Ford, going further so you can. Here's Kolten Wong, the Cardinals with a pair of home runs today. One of those by Kolten. That was in the second inning. And Paul DeYoung last inning, a 3-run shot. Kolten is teamed up with Jason Mott and his foundation. We'll have an event tomorrow night. The K Cancer Group. Jason Mott has not been signed by anyone and did have an invite to go to Memphis and AAA, but declined that. And you never know, his playing days may be through.
Well, if that is the case, Jason Mott made himself one heck of a career. Mott was my catcher in A-ball. He was the guy that would throw it back to you harder than you threw it to him. And unfortunately, or actually fortunately for him, he couldn't hit. And they decided that we can't let this arm go to waste. And he was so fun. It was so fun to watch him just make that transition, make the jump at the highest level. He's a great teammate, an unbelievable guy. At the ballpark here today, actually, getting ready for his event tomorrow. And he has done a lot of good with this K Cancer. They have done such a great job. And it's great that Kolten Wong has partnered along with him.
He told me in spring training, one of the players, a younger player, was wearing a K Cancer shirt, and they're being worn, as you know, every team is represented with their colors and the K Cancer, and hundreds of thousands of dollars have been raised by that. Bader smokes one out to center field. And I love this. Kolten Wong on his way to third base. Bader to second. That's how you do it. Plaza Tire Fox tracks and a ball that was scorched by Bader into center.
Well, Harrison Bader does not get cheated on his swing, and he crushes this thing opposite way, 85 mile an hour down the middle, and he hammers it. And Kolten Wong is thinking 3 the whole way. And Harrison, as we've seen, he's always running hard. He sees Kolten Wong go, he's trailing it. And it's always good to be able to add on. You've got second and third with nobody out here.
Love seeing first to third, infield in. There's strike to Greg Garcia, and then the heads-up play by Bader to go to second base.
Mike Matheny has talked about it over the last couple of years, as he wants his ball club to be aggressive. And we saw at times in the last year or so where that aggressiveness turned into outs on the base paths, but that was just some smart base running right there and some great hustle by both Wong and Bader.
Finished the thought on Mott, but he said the young player didn't have any idea that Jason Mott was the one that started this whole trend in baseball, and it carries on today. Here's a 1-1. Garcia shoots it out to left center field. That ball is down. Extra bases. 2 runs will score. Greg Garcia off the bench with a double that drives in 2.
Garcia just gets one center cut right here. He is always ready off the bench. We saw him with the 2 home run game in Cincinnati. Drives this one opposite field. Drives in 2 big ones. Cardinals coming into today had left a lot of runners on, and they struggled with runners in scoring position. It has been a lot better here this afternoon.
That was the first pinch hit RBI by a Cardinals player this entire year. Jared Hughes hustling in from the Reds bullpen. Cardinals have opened it up. Jerko is due up when we come back. by taking home a special Cardinals pet treat jar courtesy of Purina. And the pet treat jars are available upon gate entry to 30,000 pet lovers ages 16 and older. It's May 5th, the Cardinals and the Cubs. Here's Jed Jerko. This is our Chevy call to the pen. Jared Hughes pitched with Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, and now Cincinnati. Oh, 0-2. Jerko came in to replace Matt Carpenter. And he's 5 for 10 with a pair of RBI this year. Jared also has one of the great sprints in from a bullpen.
He was cruising. I think I'd have been winded by the time I got in there. I got chased from games running that fast.
But not coming in.
No, not usually coming in.
Todd Coffey used to race in like that.
That might have been one of the best things in sports to watch. Todd Coffey was not a small man.
But boy, was he a finely tuned athlete.
He sure was.
Here's a 1-2 that's taken low. 2-2. Who was the all-star closer with Miami and then Arizona that sprinted in the all-star game and then slid at the mound?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about. That's why it's bothering me. Athletic move, though.
Oh, yeah, it was Heath Bell. That's who it was. They had to replace the divot on the infield after the slide.
Also a phenomenal athlete.
Finely tuned. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Jed Jerko. And that is a base hit into right. Garcia had to hold up to make sure it got through. And Jerko is 6 for his first 11. Yadier Molina has been on base 3 times. Base hit to center in the first. Most recent trip, the double. Still nobody out here in the 8th. Cardinals with 3 consecutive hits after the walk to Kolten Wong. Yachty with a drive. Left center. It stays in the ballpark. The catch made by Hamilton. Garcia will score, and that makes it a 9-2 St. Louis lead.
Yachty is seeing the ball well. You see this thing tailing in, down and in, well off the plate, is able to just drop the barrel, drive this thing, and drives in another run to make this 9-2.
And here's Jose Martinez. The Cardinals hold on today. They would go to 13-8. 7 of the 13 wins would be against the Cincinnati Reds. And a grounder that's pulled foul. It's an off day tomorrow. Mets will be in town. That's on Tuesday night. All 3 games of the series against the Mets on Fox Sports Midwest. Steven Matz will go in game 1. Cardinals may shuffle up their rotation. And you'll face Syndergaard and DeGrom in that series as well. Here's the 0-2.
don't think Jose Martinez was too happy with that pitch getting in there. That's high and tight.
Cardinals just hired a new interpreter for Spanish, and I'm not sure I want to know what he said.
We can guess.
Cardinals with 17 base runners today, and there's a wild pitch. Jerko advancing to second. In this series, the Cardinals with 48 base runners to the Reds 28. Two and two the count. And a high fly ball lifted out to right. Schebler with the catch. Jerko not tagging up. And there's two away. Sometimes, Brad, it's not only the losses and then the consecutive games that you lose and the tough losses that you had to start a season. It's the manner in which you lose too. I mean, that I'm sure is a very quiet dugout. Manager's been fired, pitching coach, they'll go in the clubhouse. I mean, what do you say?
Yeah,
I mean, what do you do?
You start looking for something, anything to grasp to. You want a moral victory here or there. Unfortunately for the Reds, and fortunately for the Cardinals here recently, they just haven't had that. It's going to happen. This ball club for the Cincinnati Reds is going to get better and better. You've got a lot of young talent, but Jim Riggleman has his hands full to not only help these players get better, but to keep that morale up, because that's going to be a difficult task.
How do you do it? What's a manager do?
You hope that you get a win.
Yeah.
And then you can go from there. And whenever that next win comes for the Cincinnati Reds, you make a big deal out of it. You have some fun with it. You lean on your leadership, too. You got to lean on the guys that have been around. Joey Votto has been through some tough times there. He's a great leader. I'm sure he's a great mentor for some of those young guys. You have to lean on those guys because in these times, as a manager, as a coach, and Billy Hamilton, another one of those guys that have been through it, you can only say so much, but the words and the actions of the other guys in that room carry a lot of weight. You got to lean on them.
3-1. Fowler has been on base 4 times, 3 walks. Infield hit. Does have 1 4-walk game, and that was all the way back in 2010. Reds return home tomorrow to take on the Reds, or rather the Atlanta Braves. The 3-1 pitch to Fowler upstairs, and he draws a walk. So we take you back to a key spot in this game. It's 9-2 now, but in the 7th it was a 1-run game.
Right before this, Paul DeYoung fouls one off. 3-run bomb right there to create the cushion. And it's conga time here for Paul DeYoung.
Two hits yesterday, the double, the homer, 2 hits today. A single to center. A 3-run homer, his 7th of the year. 9-2 our score. One ball and 1 strike. 2-1. Greg Holland has the 9th inning for the Cardinals. DeYoung back to Hughes. Underhands it to Votto. Cardinals pick up 3 more. They've got 12 hits and a 9-2 lead. Images. Here at game 3, the Cardinals looking for a sweep. 9-2 our score. Greg Holland in for St. Louis. Obviously the numbers have not been good. It's been ugly. In particular the walks in 3 1/3. 8 of those for Greg Holland. Or Chevy called to the pen. And then the Cardinals is trying to get him right. As the rain is falling here at the ballpark. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, you know how good Greg Holland can be when he's on top of his game. We saw it last year. 41 saves with the Rockies. One of the best closers in baseball. Had 1 down month in August. But outside of that, he was fantastic. It just might take a little while. We got to remember the fact that he didn't have a spring training. He wasn't throwing to hitters, and it might take a little while to get the feel. But that pitch right there, that slider that Greg Holland has, I mean, that thing disappears to hitters. And even at the altitude in Colorado, he got that thing moving like crazy. I can only imagine what it's going to look like in the summers here.
The 2-1 pitch to Jeanette. The issue has been control, throwing strikes. Cardinals have talked about the fact that they do see the movement. They see at times the wipeout slider, but just not enough. And the 3-1. 3-2.
It's a bit easier to be patient with a guy like Greg Holland when you've seen it, right? When you know that there's a track record, you've seen him do it at a high level before, and you know how effective he can be. But it is about right now until he does get a handle on everything, because I still see him in the 9th inning closing out big games for you this year. Right now, though, it's important to get him into the right spots, get him in there where he can just try to pump strikes, where he can work on some things, and he's in a good spot here.
The 3-2, it's a slider that's pulled foul. Kind of a unique delivery and that lead leg and where he lands.
He opens up so much, and that's another thing. It's timing. Pitching is all timing, so his arm has to be in the perfect spot when he does get that leg down, and it is quite deceptive if you're up there, especially to a righty. But if his leg and his arm aren't hitting at the same time, it's hard to repeat his mechanics.
Rain is picked up here at the ballpark, and we will have steady rain probably for the next couple of hours. The 3-2 pitch to Scooter Gennett. And he got him. Went with the slider, struck him out. Rain falling, 9-2 the score, and it goes against Gennett.
Greg Holland goes backdoor breaking ball, maybe a little bit off the plate, but gets the benefit of the doubt. And that has to feel good. Look, that's you don't care as a pitcher if you got one or not. He has been looking for that, needed a clean start to this inning and ended up getting it here. We just talked about him trying to get a feel. Of course it would start raining on him out there.
Right. Here's Scott Schebler. Lifts a fly ball out to deep left. O'Neill is there to make the catch. Let's turn to our Budweiser plays of the game, and Brad Thompson, Miles Michaelis.
He had it going on. You see the fastballs there at 96, the sweeping slider, had the curveball as well. He had the whole arsenal going, gets deep into this ball game. He was fantastic today.
Now a hard rain here at the ballpark. Devin Mesoraco looks at a ball low. Brad will be with us many games throughout the season. Your first go at it this weekend, and a great job. It's popped up left side, and this should do it. Cardinals have a sweep. 9-2 the final. They have won 7 in a row against the Reds here in 2018. It's an off day tomorrow, and the Mets in town on Tuesday night. Solid win. Coming up, it's Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, the final of 9-2. Much more to come on Fox Sports Midwest.